tell Anna and she can go live.
Going live. You're live.
All right. Chair Newman.
Well, thank you guys for coming to the Tuesday, June 13th Mendocino County Fish and Game Commission meeting. I'd like to call this meeting to order and call the roll. Commissioner Klein.
Present.
Commissioner Prestino.
Present.
Commissioner Pellar may be joining us via Zoom, but because she's on Zoom, she's going to be considered absent for this meeting. With the new COVID regulations, everyone has to be in person. Commissioner Madigan.
Present.
And Commissioner Van.
Present.
And I'm present, Chair Newman. So that's our roll call. Moving swiftly on to public expression on non-agenda items. As a reminder, no action can be taken on these items. And then we ask folks to stay to around 3 minutes per presentation, but no more than 10. However, we never have the public, so if the public wants to take some time today, we're happy to have you. Does anyone have anything to express on non-agendized items?
Yeah, a little bit on communication. I'm with the Ukiah Valley Fish and Wildlife Club.
And then just say your name since we're on Zoom also, please.
My name is Tommy
Thank
Thompson.
you.
I'm a director with the Ukiah Valley Fish and Wildlife Club. And it's been a little frustrating for the last year, to put it the least, between things that have occurred between the county and the club and the commission. We had a truck that was being used by the club to transport steelhead back into from the hatchery operation in the, I should say, the egg taking station at Coyote Valley Dam. And then we were notified on a fairly short notice. Apparently there was an audit of the commission and Fish and Game, by Fish and Game, and they found and determined that you were not authorized to have a vehicle. So through the county, apparently you'd been transferred the vehicle, and then we were authorized the use of the vehicle for the fish transportation system. Kind of history, back in the fire in Redwood Valley, the truck was used for transporting water and things like that for county issues and county needs. So it was always open and available. And then back in this last fall on short notice, we were notified that the truck had to be returned to the county based on the audit for Fish and Game, that you guys were not authorized to have a vehicle. County called it back through discussions. The truck had been in use by the club for like 17 years. And so it goes back to a long history. I'm always curious to see how we had the truck. Somehow it had to have been authorized. There had to be minutes somewhere that said the club is authorized to use the truck for this purpose. So when it was pulled away, very short notice, we had to pull the tank that we used to haul the steelhead, pull the oxygen system. We did not pull the front winch bumper and the winch or the back winch. We were told by the county in the yard that we couldn't take those off because apparently when they were turning that truck to auction, we were informed we could auction, or we could go to the auction and try to buy the truck. Well, we're a club. We don't have the money to do anything like that. We weren't able now to recover the bumper or the winch that we invested in the truck. So when we talked to the county about it, they said, well, file a claim. So, here we are, cut out. But my point is, it comes back to communications. And I need to make sure that we can open those communications. So if the audit comes up, something turns up that isn't being done or not properly that affects us, someone calls us instead of saying, hey, turn this back, no option. Now, fortunately, we worked with California Fish and Wildlife, and they procured another truck, put the tank on, and we were able to seamlessly continue the fish transport, which is benefit to the county. Another issue that came up is on October 19th, our secretary submitted a recap of the grant for $5,000 to the commission.
Squawfish grant.
On the squawfish grant, the Sacramento Pike. And the information was in there. We did not hear anything back from the commission or anybody until a couple weeks ago when we got an invoice for $5,000, return of the grant, claiming that we didn't submit adequate information, which we never heard anything until we got an invoice or a bill saying, give us $5,000. Additionally, $1,000+ for the use of the truck that we used to transport fish, and another couple $100 for oxygen that we used to oxygenate the tank when we transport the fish. Again, it comes as a complete surprise when you get an envelope that says, oh, you owe us in essence $6,500. Here's an invoice. No communication other than the bill. Complete surprise. Now, as the club, we come back and say, well, that's going to be really tough. Because one, like everyone else, we suffered from COVID. We lost membership. We couldn't rub 3 pennies together, let alone pay the bill. And I'm not complaining. I mean, we have to just, it comes back down to communications. Had we known in the fall that the information submitted was inadequate or you needed more,
Right.
we'd have clearly done it, because we can pull that back up. A summary was submitted, whether it was not completely opened or what misread. But again, it comes back to no communication, letter, email, other than, oh, by the way, you need to have all your information by October 22nd, which we'd done on the 19th. That was in. Never heard that the information wasn't complete until we get a bill. Totally frustrating. And I hope that it's a casual oversight from the commission. I know everyone's been struggling with Zooms and everything else and very few meetings, but it still comes back to communications. And that's kind of where my request is. We need to have open communications. Or is there something that we did as a club to irritate the commission? We need to quickly mend fences. It's not our objective, because our goal is working with the hatchery, the demonstration hatchery program for the school kids, steelhead in the classroom, returning fish to the river. This is done with volunteers. We're not paid to go do this. We spend many hours supporting fish and game, fish and wildlife, with the program of the hatchery out there, and supporting the county in making this happen. We do other things. The Mill Creek fishing platforms, that was done by the club. Moving porta potties up there. Now the county's maintained them, but we've maintained the fishing station. We've maintained things out there. Again, we're not ones to stand up and beat our back or try to brag on what we're doing. We just go out and do. But it comes back to communications. Is there things that we're missing? Tell us, we'll correct, and we'll move ahead. We do look to move ahead. We want to keep the programs going. We want to keep the demonstration hatchery going. Kids benefit from that. They come through and they are impressed with being able to see the eggs, how they mature, how the fry develop out there. And that's right here in town. It's close. So, I'll zip my lip.
Yeah, we've always
Question.
supported that group, and if I remember right, we had two commissioners that were a part of that program.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I know they were the ones, I think, that brought the request for money to us and passed, but I think they kind of fell off the board, moved out of state or
Moved out
whatever
of
it may
state.
be.
Pat Ford.
Pat Ford, yeah. So I don't know if there was a communications breakdown there, or, what was going on.
Yeah.
But, Pat was well informed when he was at the meetings of what was going on. I am sorry for, all this hassle and confusion and everything that's taken place, but I do remember there was some discussion regarding the county truck, and we couldn't locate it. I called Kent Stanley at the county. He never heard of it. Went out to his yard, went over to the sheriff's department and looked for it. Couldn't find it. Didn't know anything about it. So
Someone had to know, because it was maintained over there. They did the service.
We couldn't turn it up. I mean, remember, we looked for it.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I'm sorry that our
Yeah.
communication has broke down so far. We certainly don't have any hard feelings
No.
towards you guys, and we definitely want to mend this fence. It sounds like we've really dropped the ball on this. So our apologies there. We didn't even know we had a truck until the audit came about. That's how kind of much we've struggled in our record keeping, which is a reflection more on us, not on you. Because it sounds like you guys have done the good work of maintaining the truck, maintaining the hatchery, and doing all of these amazing programs. It's been our lack of record keeping and our problems that are then reflecting poorly on you, but it really should be a poor reflection on us. So
If I can add
our
something.
apologies there. Yeah, just one moment. As far as the grant goes, let's just double check into this. I would like to work with you personally, and we'll
Okay.
double check into this. I'll give you my card and all of my kind of private email that I don't really like to give out, but
Don't worry.
please nothing at 10:30 at night. And I'll work with you and Adrian on this because we really do believe in the work that you guys are doing.
Yeah.
And this is a sincere apology from us. I really feel like we've dropped the ball on this matter, and we want to move forward and make this right with you
Okay.
guys. It sounds like we're too late on making sure that you guys get use of the truck, but I kind of want to think
Truck's gone.
through. Yeah, truck's gone. But I'm just kind of really upset to hear that that's how it was. I thought we'd found the truck. It was with y'all, and then we were just going to keep moving forward with it. I had no idea that we'd requested the truck back.
Yeah, we had 2 weeks' notice to come in.
That is
Return the truck?
rough.
Yeah, I don't
That's-
remember
I'm
that going
sorry.
through us at all.
Yeah. So our apologies on that, and let's work to make it right.
Okay.
The truck, county,
Yeah.
the county knew about the truck, and they
Mm-hmm.
knew that we had the truck because they maintained it and they paid for the gas. So whenever we were dropping fish back and forth at Kaminsky Station,
Yeah.
maybe once a month, twice a month, we would come in and fill up with gas. If there was an issue with the truck as far as repairs or maintenance, we would bring it in, the county would repair it. The issue with the heavy-duty bumpers and the winch,
Yeah.
we took the original bumpers off the truck and gave it to the county depot. This
Okay.
was according to Pat Ford. And no one has any records of that. So the
Okay.
county did know about the truck, and they knew we had the truck. The truck was kept at the hatchery, unless we had to bring it in for maintenance.
Well, and additionally in that line, anyone driving the truck, we had to be authorized by the county.
So it
So
sounds.
we'd come in and registered our driver's licenses and everything with the county. So they knew we had the truck, we were authorized to drive the truck.
It sounds like maybe where the breakdown happened is that the county knew you had the truck, but no one knew that it was technically our truck.
Or where it was.
Or, so then we had a truck on file, the county knows that you guys had a truck, so maybe the communication was that they didn't know that that truck was technically the commission's truck. And we can look into all of this, and again, you guys, I'm so sorry that it happened this way and the lack of communication. It's very unprofessional on our side.
And our goal is to just get a meeting
Yep.
together with everybody, get the parties together.
Yep.
Let's move forward. You know, that's the past, okay? Let's create a positive forward outlook and continue our relationships.
Yeah, I always felt,
really
I always,
appreciate that
yeah,
mindset.
and I always felt it was, this is all new news to me,
Yeah.
you know, with the, I wouldn't,
Well, so
I'm
there's,
sorry, I wasn't-
there's the feedback loop between us and the club. There's also the feedback loop between us and the county. And so those linkages were
Yeah.
both broken.
yes,
We're
absolutely.
volunteers as well, and I don't think that we had any negative feelings that
None.
we were
No.
conveying through this. I mean, I don't,
Absolutely not. No, we've always
Yeah.
been very supportive of that program.
Always set us back, I mean,
Oh, I would imagine. Yeah,
but again-
Yep, no, 100%.
we wanna go ahead, and that's where we wanna be. If we can, at your convenience, set up a
Yeah.
communication, a date
Yeah.
where we can get together with the county, yourselves, and, you know, a small group of us and say, okay, let's circle the wagons, let's create a path going forward, and how do we move?
yeah, I think that having some kind of regular reporting back to us would be helpful for us to know how you're doing and
Yeah.
how we can best support, because,
That
We
would
haven't
fall
had
under me.
Or, yeah,
yeah, good. Great.
perfect.
Is it a non-action item if I create an ad hoc?
No, you'd have to agendize it to create an ad hoc
Okay.
for the next meeting, so
Okay.
August.
Yeah. So on the August meeting, can we put on the agenda to create an ad hoc to work with Tommy Thompson and the Ukiah Garden Club?
No,
Ukiah Valley Fish and Wildlife.
We had to change the name.
I even
so we
wrote
could
it down
sep-
and then I was
so we
like,
could
did I
separate it.
write that right? Ukiah Valley Fish and Wildlife. And we'll put that on the agenda and get an ad hoc going with myself and potentially another commissioner,
Probably Joe.
probably Joe, yeah.
Mhm.
Cool. Thank you. I'm so sorry. Thank you for coming with a positive attitude. And
Always positive. And it's up to me every morning when I wake up. I control my
in
attitude.
my line of work, people don't always come with your attitudes. We have no idea how appreciative I am of this conversation.
We'll remind your wife of that.
Yeah. Can write a good reference. Okay, great. Are there any other items for public expression?
Well, hi, I'm Ellen Darrell, and Steve is Darrell, somewhere over there.
I don't know if you guys remember me.
We're with the
I remember
World
you.
Environmental Center, and I'm sure this is not on your agenda, though I had planned to come to this meeting because I thought it might be, and that was a discussion about riparian protections. And I think that I heard from Tracy that it might be scheduled for the next meeting, but I wanted to come and we both wanted to come and say that we're supportive of that idea, and we are anxious to work on it. We think it would be an important thing to explore and maybe benefit from what some other counties are doing. So we're here to express our interest and support for that when it becomes, looks like the next meeting is August, and so maybe there'll be more opportunity for a full discussion about it then.
We did plan it for a discussion in August. Should be the
Right.
August 8th meeting.
Great.
Yeah.
Well,
Thank
we're
you
here.
for coming today.
Well, you're welcome. We're
Good
here
to
to
see
say
you.
we're glad that, I saw Jennifer's presentation to the Board of Supervisors a few months ago, and I was very impressed with it. And I think actually it made an impact on the supervisors too, even though that it was sort of pulled together at the presentation I think was, there's a lot of preparation that went into the presentation, but somehow because of somebody was sick and somebody else couldn't come, it wasn't the full discussion that had been hoped for with the board, but I sensed that the board was kind of got it, even from Jennifer's excellent presentation. So anyway, I was impressed by that, and I wanted to support it as it goes forward.
Great, thank you. No. Okay. If that's all the public expression, we can move on.
Does anyone have their hands raised in Zoom that you can see?
Let's see.
Check real quick.
What's over here?
No one has their hand raised for public, so you should be good on Zoom.
Okay. So we have no minutes to approve for this month, so we're gonna move on to reports. We usually have reports out from California Fish and Wildlife, Dawn White, as well as Jennifer Garrison. But it doesn't look like either are present for today's meetings, so we'll move those on to our next agenda. And then we are lacking a treasurer at the moment. So I believe our treasurer's report will also be moved.
Jennifer Garrison just popped in as attendee. Go ahead and admit.
Hey, Jennifer.
Hi all.
Hey, we were just talking about reports. Do you want to give a quick report out if you have anything to report?
Sorry, I had sent an email. I apologize. I do not have anything to report out, but I was interested in just listening in tonight.
Great. Well, thank you so much for coming anyhow. So we'll move all the reports to next month per usual, just in case. Items for discussion and possible action. We have none, team. So we're going to move straight through to commissioner comments Reports and announcements. Commissioner Klein, District 1.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Do you have anything to report?
No, not at this time.
Okay. Commissioner Prestino.
Not much to report other than this year at the hatchery was the worst year on record. We had, I believe, 262 or 263 returning steelhead. Last year, we had about 540, and that was our worst year ever until this year. So things are really bad. No one is really sure as to why this is happening. Somebody described it to me best as death of 1,000 cuts. There's a lot of reasons. They all seem to be culminating at this point. I'm real curious as to what's going to happen next year with all the rain that we got over the winter. I thought for sure this year it would be a record year with all the rain, but the water was very laden with sediment, so the fish couldn't exactly sense where they were going. It was just a bad year overall. The good thing was the yearlings that we released from the hatchery had great cover going out to the ocean because of that sediment. So the predators really couldn't find them. So hopefully in 2 years, 3 years, we'll get some record numbers back. But other than that, not much else to report. And I have a procedural question. For a report, is it submitted in writing, or is it just verbal, or?
We've always given verbal reports, and we've never submitted staff reports. It's not really a staff report in writing ahead of time.
Okay.
We can change that policy if you really feel so inclined.
No.
Not sure I can pull myself together to ever.
I'm the new kid on the block. And I'm not sure of the game rules.
Okay.
It would be extremely helpful to me if I had a copy of the bylaws. That would be a big help.
Great.
And anything else that I need to know.
I was going to do a little update, but we'll make sure that our new commissioners get copies of bylaws.
Should be posted on the webpage for Fish and Game also if you wanted to check.
It's on the webpage. Okay.
I did have a question. I perused them and I saw something about an annual report. Is that still current? Is that correct?
I've never reported annually.
Okay.
I have to look again.
Yeah.
The last change we did was to delete the section of required contracted secretary to allow a commissioner. But other than that, in the COVID times, I haven't checked the bylaws recently.
Okay.
We can review it.
We got copies of them one of our last meetings that we had in person, I think.
Yeah.
I usually try and email them out between meetings.
Yeah.
In the past, we've met with the Board of Supervisors at a meeting too, so I'd like to see that come back.
All right. Commissioner Pellar is absent, although she's present. Hi, Tracy. We wish we could talk to you. Hope you're doing great and you're doing good things. So I'm Commissioner Newman to report out from the 4th District. We're seeing salmon closures for commercial and recreational this season, which will certainly be an interesting change for the coast and the fisheries and those that depend on them. I work with so many commercial fishermen, they were happy that the closure had occurred. There were a couple of options that were allowing like 4 fish a week or 40 pounds or something along those lines, and it made it so by the time you got the boat out to sea, you'd already lost money with the price of gas and the permitting. So if it was going to be such low quotas, they really felt like a closure would be the best option, and that allows them to move forward in seeking disaster funding from the state. So anytime a fishery closes, the fishermen are usually eligible for that disaster style funding, which is all based on what they've caught in previous years. So no one at the state level has put that forward, but I've worked with a few lobbyists who say that it's in the works, although nothing is secured at the time. Other than that, Mendocino County is one of the few counties that has its recreational rockfish pushed out to deep water. So the near shore fisheries are closed for recreational fishermen. It usually opens May 1st. We're opening July 15th this year. From talking with the wardens, it's been a struggle to enforce. Everyone knows you can't fish in the shallows, but they're bringing in near shore fish from the deep. Because what wasn't really explained well is that there were two sets of regulations, where one, you have to be out past a certain line, and the second set is that you can't have any nearshore species. So they'll catch blues in deep water, but blues aren't an allowable take for right now. So it's a little bit confusing, and the coordinates where in which you can fish are all really unclear. So that's a lot of the feedback I've heard from the fleet. In an interesting turn of events, people have discovered that we have Pacific halibut up here. So all of a sudden we have a banging Pacific halibut fishery. Guys are catching 50-pounders just right out of Fort Bragg. So for the harbor, we've still seen a pretty good recreational fleet coming through. It's just for a different fishery. Other things not entirely relevant to this commission, but somewhat relevant. The Harbor District received $3.2 million to develop a new ice house and to run a marine-based entrepreneurial training program to help the fleet learn how to sell their catch better to the direct consumer. So they're going to work on. We're going to work on trying to train, the harbor is going to work on trying to train the fishermen on how to do better off the boat sales and really kind of increase the price that they're getting per pound at market by doing that direct sale system. And then the ice house in the harbor is failing, so they're going to receive a full new ice house system within the next 2 years. If you don't see me for 2 years, I'll have 30 tons of ice. But that's what is going on the coast and in the harbors and with our fisheries. Commissioner Madigan?
Yeah, nothing really substantial to report. I'm just happy that we've changed the time to 4 p.m., which makes it much easier for me to get here.
Yeah.
So thank you for making that happen.
Commissioner Klein, do you have
Yeah, apologies. To loop back to something that you brought up in terms of the salmon closure, you mentioned, lobbying for disaster relief funding. Has there been communication with the Joint Committee on Fisheries, which our state senator is the chair of?
Yep.
And so
Yep.
I'm assuming he's a good angle.
Yep.
Can you share what that, line of communication has been like? Has it been pretty responsive and positive?
Pretty responsive and positive. I accidentally almost tackled Mr. McGuire the last time I saw him in Sacramento. I was just so excited.
Well, he probably matched that energy, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, it's a little intense too. But it's great and it seems positive and exciting. The most concerning point that I have is that the fleet is very used to getting that money back, but my concern is the rest of the fishing industry. So bait and tackle shops, charter boats usually
The
can
side
get
effects.
something, but not all the time. Ports in California are going to struggle without fishing. I know my port, the week that it was announced, I had 8 full-time tenants call and cancel, one of which had been in the harbor for 22 years. So it was really kind of the straw that broke a lot of camels' backs. So I'm hoping they'll move forward with it, but I am getting very nervous that the state of California seems to think that fisheries closures and that relief funding, it's not unprecedented anymore. And before, when you closed salmon season, it was this huge unprecedented thing that had never occurred. Now we're kind of getting used
Normalized.
to these conversations and it's becoming normalized, so I'm nervous that they're not going to want to continue funding it. And I've heard kind of rumors from these conversations happening up in Alaska with fisheries closures.
Yeah.
The state's tired of funding relief. They're considering it a gamble to be in the industry anymore, which is frustrating for those that work in economic development and ports.
Right. Well, maybe we can talk offline more about this. I just was curious your
Yep.
take on that. Thank you.
Yeah. Commissioner Van, inland at large?
Well, not a lot. I spoke with Norm Brown, and he was interested in maybe trying to get back on the commission. I don't know what our vacancy status is.
It looks like we have coastal at large open.
So he's an inland, is there any, we still get the variance?
You know, I'd have to ask Adrian about where our overlaps can live.
Okay.
Generally speaking, we can request to have someone appointed who doesn't fit the qualifications if there's, a lack
Okay.
of desire, just because I've recently read the
Great job,
Text around
Gold
it.
Star.
so they can actually gold star it themselves.
Yeah, Norm's been on the commission with us before.
Yeah.
He's a good asset. Other than that, the grant stuff everything is in place on that as last I'd heard?
The last I'd heard, yes, we were struggling to get through to the State Fish and Game Commission that had to approve the overall grants that we were going to give out. So for those of you who are new, we had 3 grants that were given out this year. We did the Mendocino Wildlife Association, the California Deer Association, and the Mendocino Land Trust. So those were our 3 grants given this year. We struggled to get the full Fish and Game Commission to approve their scopes of work, but last I read they had approved it. They all instantly regretted giving me those cards at all those outreach and networking meetings, so they started calling all of them. So I think that's where we're at, although I'm unsure if they've actually received the check. I know they usually send a check in the full amount. And I'm not sure if those checks have been issued by the county, so I can check in with Adrian about that.
Okay, and then on the thing with Norm, I guess he could just fill out an application and submit it and see where it goes from there.
Yeah, let's have him fill out an application and submit it, and then we should talk to, I can talk to Dan Jurdy and Ted Williams, and then if you want to reach out, who would be your supervisor?
Haschak and, I don't know, whoever, one of the other inlands.
Okay.
Who's number 2?
He's Mulherry.
Yeah.
Those would be the 2 I'd
Yeah.
talk to.
Let's reach out to them and put our good word in for Norm.
Okay.
See if we can get that.
All right.
And then we'll have a full commission, guys, which I don't think I've ever been on the commission while we have a full commission. So there's that. A couple, we kind of already went over the grants. Is that all for you, Randy?
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah. So we kind of went over the grants just in Randy's question, but we do grants as part of this commission, which was one of the coolest parts of participating. This year we did give out 3 grants. It varies every year on the amounts we have to give and the agencies we end up giving to, but I don't think we've ever denied a full grant. We might not have funded everything in full, but we try to always make sure that the programs get some amount of funds. We have in the past struggled on grant reporting, so as something that this commission that I really want to make sure that we do is when those grant reports come in, that we see them. We've struggled with communication towards the grantors or the grantees. So those are just definitely things, since we have new folks on the commission, that we need to focus on. Other places that we've struggled is with the finances and the treasurer's reports. It's kind of just been this like general pie in the sky. We get some amount of money, it shows up in an account, someone says that this is how much we have to spend, and we spend it on grants. So if anybody is super, yeah. If anyone is interested in taking on that tackle, we used to have Red Hawk Paulson, who did an amazing job of really starting to dive into the nitty-gritty as he was our treasurer. And while he's not on the commission anymore, I'm hoping he'll be receptive to helping someone pick up where he left off.
Now, the grants are by request.
The grants are by request, usually in November or fall time. We put out a notice of available funding, so a NOFO, and then whoever is interested will submit an application. The applications could definitely use some updating if there's a commissioner that's interested in updating applications and all these jobs, y'all.
I would be happy to review the
Yeah.
application.
That would be great.
Anybody else want to do that too?
Usually start approving grants around December to February. And then I think those grants run in 1-year cycles, if I'm correct. So everything's got to be done within that 1 year scope of work.
So with COVID being kind of left, in the dust, thankfully, are we gonna go back to presentations, do you think, as part of the
I'd hope
grant
so.
cycle?
I felt like I learned a lot from the presentations, and it got a little bit of community involvement coming in, folks coming to our meetings, which was really nice. And then we got to kind of communicate one-on-one in person with the grantees, which is always nice, instead of just receiving a packet. You can always tell if someone's got a passion for a project by how they show up in person. And we like those.
So Joe Rook, are you on the Ukiah fishery with?
I'm the vice president.
Oh, okay, that's good to know.
So if like Ukiah Fisheries wanted to apply again, we would definitely be interested in it. We would just recuse you from the voting.
Mhm.
And I've done that when I first started the commission with my old program. I submitted a grant and then recused myself from all of the voting aspects of it. So I don't want you to be concerned that y'all wouldn't be able to apply for continued funding.
But we would have to wait until the fall.
Next cycle.
Yeah, for the next cycle to come through, which should be coming up pretty quickly. And we do need to figure out how much money we have. Yeah.
I'm just curious, what are the size of these grants generally?
In the past, they've been quite large, I think up to $30,000. But then more recently, I think we capped it at around $5,000 to $10,000. We weren't receiving the funds from the county as we had been in the past, so we had to scale back on the amount we could give. Although I also remember that if folks requested more, we would take it into consideration. If they had a project that was very valid, but it was, $10,000 and the cap was $9,000, we would look to see if that was applicable.
Are there guidelines for the grants?
There are guidelines for the grants.
Where can I find that?
They should be on our Mendocino Fish and Game Commission page. They're not. Dropping the ball, I am. Holy smokes, guys.
And where's the NOFO? Because that's not on the page either.
That should be on there too. Okay.
Ellen, too, we're, working with the different school districts too, and, using some of the money to get, fishing and, wildlife stuff into classrooms, which was a big success. We did some stuff in Covelo, and some stream restorations on Town Creek and Mill Creek. It was very successful. We had, I forget the gentleman's name from up in Arcata, Gill River Recovery Program. Pat Higgins was involved with some of our stuff, so it was a fun project. And
What was
listening
the
to,
Covelo group that got the?
I can't remember. It's been a couple of years ago when we funded those.
The Covelo group.
Yeah, I think it was through the tribal program up
Yeah, I
there.
kind of wanted to say it was the tribes too.
Yeah. But I know I spoke with some of the teachers up there, and they said that the kids were really excited about, getting to leave the classroom and go out to the stream and check the temperatures, and
Yeah.
it was good.
Great.
Yeah.
We heard peripherally about that program, but I didn't know it was funded by the
Mhm.
Fish and Game Commission. That's great.
Anything else anyone wants to report on before we go? Any other questions from our new commissioners? Welcome to the
Welcome.
team.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I'm excited to have some new faces and some new blood. And with that, can I get a motion for an adjournment?
How about our next meeting? Is that
August 5th,
where?
August 8th. Good job. It'll be here at, I think they're all at 4 now.
So we're not gonna bounce around the county like we used to?
Oh,
Well, it'll probably be complicated with the Zoom stuff, I would imagine. Is that the
I have
hang
to
up?
check in with the bylaws, so we can't Zoom anymore. Y'all can Zoom in as commissioners to listen, but not to be active commissioners.
It's
and-
good to see you guys. I just want to say really quickly, hi, I love you guys.
Hey,
Hi,
thanks
Tracy.
for listening and coming. I think our bylaws say that we do bounce around.
Yeah, I thought we did like 2 here, 2 in Willits, and 2 in Fort Bragg.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so we check on that.
Yeah,
So
let's
when that,
check
so
on
when the notification comes out for the next meeting, we can tell folks where it's
Where to
gonna be. And check in maybe with Adrian about how that affects the Zooming for
the live streaming.
non-attendees.
We might have to change that bylaw if we're not gonna be able to get the county to move their Zoomass. To be determined location, y'all. August 8th.
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
I second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
The grant information is online, it's hard to find.
Thank you.
I thought it was, it's under one of the, you have to click to a sub-page, and then there's 3 different tabs, and one of them's called grants.
Okay.
And so